So they essentially ghosted you when they found a romantic partner, and now that that's imploding, suddenly they remember you exist. Well, Spirit has something to say about that, and if you even owe them a conversation.
All right, Spirit. What's going on with the collective's 11th house? Their friendships, their networking, peer-to-peer relations, that sort of stuff. Not the romantic kind, the platonic kind. We've got the Four of Cups, which in this deck is the Fading Fellowship, which honestly is kind of the only card that makes sense to pull out when the general collective is 11th house stuff. So, in this deck, the Four of Cups is about the emotional stagnation from a group that was once joyful. They've got a shared mission, a shared goal, and the vibes just aren't vibing anymore. So, Spirit, what else can you tell me about this situation? We've got the 6, the Lovers, in reverse. We've got Temperance in reverse. The Three of Swords in reverse. All right, so clearly there's a lack of healing going on here, and it's a really big friendship, a really big connection that genuinely matters. Okay. It seems this person is all or nothing. They are all in or they are all out. They're all focused or they're all avoidant. Unfortunately, that's just this person's personality type. We could get into all that, but honestly, that's their trauma, their childhood, and their circumstances that I don't really want to breach the privacy of right now. So, what we're going to say is that they went all in on a new relationship and they allowed all of their friendships to fade. But someone's not looking at it. Someone's not looking at the pain that they caused. I assume it's this person, honestly. They're not seeing the pain that they've caused to the others around them. And then that relationship fell apart. For whatever reason, they are no longer a unit. And, you know, what's left for them? They rushed into it. They didn't think things through. They ignored their friends and literally let everything else collapse. And now there's no one to help them pick up the pieces. Okay. We have the Justice in reverse. All right, so what is the collective's role in this? Like, where does my collective come in? Okay, well, I guess we got to address this because I'm struggling to pull cards. We have Justice in reverse, and all I'm hearing is it wasn't fair. It feels as though, and you know, only take this if it resonates. It's a general collective, so of course it's not going to fit everybody. We all know this. So for those that it does fit, you are the reason they met. You're the reason that they found this joy, even if it didn't last. So for them to just ignore you and cut you out, like maybe not cut out, but ghosting is what I'm hearing. And I'm assuming they're back, because why else would they be in this reading? Why would this be the general collective reading if they didn't reach back out to you? So we're just going to assume that that's the case. So you helped introduce them to this love, and it was everything they asked for. Everything was perfect. It was destined, right? Even though they didn't really get to know each other, even though they didn't really do the deep diving that you're supposed to do through years of dating. I know today's society is a little more rushed than that. Anyway, so you led them to this person, and then they ignored you, and now it's falling apart, and now they're back, and they want you to be that friend that you were in the first place, and it's not fair. Where were they for you when all of your stuff was happening? Okay. What else can you tell me, Spirit? This is exactly what they deserve. That's the Tower. It's exactly what they deserve. They ran, into these decisions without listening to anybody else, and especially people with more experience. This is the Nine of Swords in reverse. So people who have done the work tried to warn them, and they ignored all that, because that's human nature. People have to make their own mistakes. They have to go through their own stuff. And honestly, anyone who is naysaying them before they're ready to hear it, or isn't invited to naysay, it's in one ear and out the other. That's just human nature. They're not going to listen to it, and they're certainly not going to register it. So this is just one of those situations where everybody said what everyone else was saying. And the Eight of Cups in reverse in this deck is the Eight of Cups is heeding warnings. And it's in reverse, so not heeding warnings. Okay, so I think we've pretty much got the gist on what happened here, because clearly you're not the only one who was trying to get involved before it was too late. So what does the collective do now? What is your advice for them, Spirit? We have the Empress in reverse, the Five of Pentacles, Five of Shields in this deck, Death, which is kind of the same in every deck. That's not true. I'm sorry. My interpretation of that card doesn't change more or less with the decks. Anyway, not the point. The Ten of Wands. All right. We don't need the other card. All right. If you are so willing, which it's okay if you're not, this is not your problem. It is not your circus. It is not your monkeys, right? That cliche. But if you are so willing, they value your judgment so much and your intuition. Through this entire experience, they have gotten to see exactly how right you were, which is why you're one of the ones they're coming back to. They feel that they wasted their time. They feel that this was a complete waste of experience. Whether or not you agree with that is up to you. Personally, I don't think any experience is a waste. As long as you're, you know, taking what you can from it and trying to grow. But they did get exactly what they asked for. And I'm certain that that means something to you that is going to stand out. And again, it's done. It's over. And they've gotten to see that you were right, that you called it. So if you are so willing to help them through the shadow work, evaluate what happened, not just with whatever happened with that relationship, but what happened with you and your friendship, because that's the conversation that needs to be had. They don't need to hear so much where things went wrong with their romantic partner. That's more therapist territory. But they do need to hear from you, again, if you're willing, how you felt to be abandoned, how you felt to feel that your friendship was over, that they got exactly what they wanted from you, and you had to bear consequences that they didn't consider. They need to know how they made their friends feel, because right now that's not occurring to them. But again, you don't have to be the person to have that conversation. You can leave that to someone else. That's your free will. Any other final guidance, Spirit? Just like they rushed into the relationship, you do not need to rush into this conversation. It will happen, or an opportunity will present itself when the other person is ready. Right now, they're not open to the criticism of platonic relationships because they're still so in their feels about the romantic ones. So don't force them to have the conversation because it's just going to make things worse. A very long time ago, someone once told me that if you want to be the person they bring their news to, the best thing you can do is be as positive as you can without being toxic about it. So providing an open space that you can still challenge them, but where they feel safe, they feel understood. And it's just not the time right now. We've got the Ace of Cups and Ace of Wands both in reverse. It's just, they're not ready. And honestly, I don't think you're ready either. I think you're still rightfully upset and feeling abandoned and betrayed. And I think everybody still has feelings that they need to sort out before this conversation even can be had in a constructive way. So give it time. Process your feelings. Journaling is great for this. Give them some time to process the romantic stuff that you already know that they're going through. And the opportunity to talk about the platonic consequences will present itself when the time is right. And again, that's only if you're willing to be the person that has that conversation with them, because you have your free will as much as they have theirs. And I'm going to wrap up there. I'll see you in the next one.